Hey everyone, it's Father Timothy back with another review. And today we're talking about Death Stranding 2 on the PlayStation 5. Now, don't worry, this review is completely spoiler free. I want you to experience the story yourself without anything being ruined, because that's honestly annoying. But what I can tell you is this: Death Stranding 2 hit me in a way very few games ever have. As a father, there were moments that stopped me in my tracks and made me feel things I didn't expect from a video game. Kojima has a way of mixing gameplay with raw emotion, and here it feels even more personal, even more human. So, whether you love the first game or you're just curious about what this sequel brings to the table, I want to share my honest thoughts and impressions. So, let's dive in. And also, don't forget to hit the thumbs up and subscribe to my channel for more reviews. Let's go. We step back into the role of Sam Porter Bridges. After everything that happened in the first game, Sam walked away from it all, choosing to leave his responsibilities behind so he could finally live free with Lou. That's where Death Stranding 2 begins, and it already feels like a natural continuation of his story. What surprised me most, though, was how it starts. I expected a long, cinematic, the kind of signature Kojima cutscene to set the tone. But instead, the game quietly places you in control right from the beginning. No big action sequences, no over the top introductions, just you playing, and that's when it hit me. The graphics, the detail, the sheer realism of the world. I actually had to pause for a second because it looked that good. The lighting, the way the environment stretched out in front of me, the atmosphere. It all felt alive. It was less like playing a game and more like stepping into a living, breathing space. From the very first moments, the landscape blew me away. The visuals and design are stunning, easily one of the best showcases of what the PS5 can do. And because it begins with you in control, it makes the impact even stronger. You're not just watching the world unfold, you're standing in it. One thing I really want to talk about is the combat. Now, I'll be honest, I never thought the combat in the first Death Stranding was bad. It wasn't the main focus of the game, but it was solid, functional, and it fit the tone of that world. That said, Death Stranding 2 takes what was already a pretty decent system and builds on it in all the right ways. The improvements aren't about reinventing combat into something completely new. They're about refinement. Movement feels smoother, strikes and gunplay have more weight, and encounters feel more deliberate. Every fight feels like it belongs in this strange, lonely world, while also giving you more options and more control than before. What really stood out to me is how balanced it feels now. In the first game, sometimes combat felt like a pause from the core delivery gameplay. Here, it's been integrated more seamlessly. Whether you're facing human enemies, dealing with BTs, or navigating a dangerous situation, it all flows naturally into the experience. So instead of saying the combat was fixed, I'd say it was enhanced. They took something that already worked and polished it into a system that feels more dynamic, more engaging, and ultimately more fun to play. Of course, a Kojima game isn't always about the story, and Death Stranding 2 is no exception. Once again, Norman Reedus absolutely nails it as Sam. He doesn't just play the character, he is the character. There's a subtlety in his performance, the way he reacts to the world, the weight he carries in his voice that makes Sam feel real. This time around, the narrative digs deeper. We're not just walking through another journey, we're uncovering more about Sam's past, the choices that shaped him, and the fragile humanity beneath all the hardships. And then there's Lou, BB. That connection, which was already the heart of the first game, grows even stronger here. We learn more about Lou, not just as a piece of equipment you carry, but as a life, a soul, and it changes the entire perspective of the story. What makes it so powerful is the way Kojima and his team use quiet, intimate moments to build emotional weight. It's not always the big, loud scenes that hit the hardest. Sometimes it's the simple ones, the pauses, the human touches that cut the deepest. And I'll be honest, speaking as a father, some of these scenes landed harder than I was ready for. They hit different when you've got a child of your own. I had to put the controller down more than once just to take it in. And that's the magic of Kojima's storytelling. It doesn't just pull you into a world, it forces you to feel it. And of course, I can't forget Fragile. Once again, Lea Sado brings so much depth and vulnerability to the character. Fragile has always been one of the most complex figures in this world. Strong, scarred, and resilient. And in Death Stranding 2, her presence feels even more important. Every scene she's in carries weight, and the bond she shares with Sam continues to evolve in meaningful ways. She's not just a supporting character, she feels like part of the emotional backbone of the story. One of the things that defined the first Death Stranding was traversal, the simple act of moving through a harsh, unforgiving world. That's back in Death Stranding 2, but it feels even more refined this time around. Walking, climbing, and navigating aren't just mechanics, they're an experience. Every step has weight, every slope feels dangerous, every path you choose matters. What really stood out to me is how fresh it all feels. New tools and mechanics have been added that make exploration more engaging and, at times, more strategic. Traversing this world doesn't feel like a chore. It feels like a challenge that constantly pushes you to think ahead. Do you take the long, safer route, or do you risk cutting across dangerous terrain to save time? Those decisions keep the world interesting from start to finish. And let's talk about the landscapes. They're stunning, sometimes hauntingly beautiful, sometimes terrifyingly empty. You can be standing in a wide open expanse with mountains in the distance and skies that feel endless. And in the next moment, you're caught in a storm that makes you feel small, fragile, and utterly alone. The sense of isolation is powerful, but at the same time, there's beauty in it. Like the world itself is daring you to survive. Exploration here isn't just about getting from point A to point B. It's about surviving, adapting, and appreciating the strange, breathtaking world Kojima has created. And honestly, it's one of the most immersive environments I've ever experienced in a game. Everything that made the first Death Stranding stand out has been improved upon here. The traversal feels better, the combat is sharper, the environments are absolutely stunning, and the emotional weight is even stronger. This isn't just a sequel, it's the next evolution of Kojima's vision. So if you love the first game, this is absolutely worth your time. If you're new to the series, Death Stranding 2 is an unforgettable place to start. For me, it's not just a game, it's an experience that stays with you long after you set the controller down. Overall, I'm giving Death Stranding 2 a 9 out of 10. It's beautiful, it's emotional, it's unique, and it proves once again that Hideo Kojima is one of the boldest voices in gaming. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed the review, don't forget to hit that like button, subscribe for more RPG and horror content, and let me know in the comments what you thought of Death Stranding 2. Until next time, stay safe out there.